Hey, this is Matt O'Leary, and this is my first video and review in about a month. Yeah, but I'm sure you don't care about that. What you actually care about and have clicked on this video to see is a review of the 9th full-length album from the hugely just influential alternative rock, experimental rock, electronic band, Radiohead, A Moon-Shaped Pool. A Moon-Shaped Pool is their first album in 5 years since 2011's The King of Limbs, which is a divisive listen among fans. I actually enjoy it and go back to it quite a bit for its really unique experimentation, electronic experimentation. Thought over the course of the record it became a little tedious and sort of monodynamic, but there are certainly tracks that I think are great and Radiohead classics. I'm not going to give you a full extensive history. I think if you're watching this video you probably know Radiohead pretty well, and you know that they came out with a series of innovative albums over the course of the mid and late 90s and throughout the 2000s that really pushed the boundaries of rock music overall, and they really earned their spot as one of the most heralded bands in modern rock. I will say that two of my favorite albums by them are probably In Rainbows and The Bend, so that may inform your interpretation of this review. This new one is a little bit of a mix. It's really a somber listen, not quite as electronic as Amnesiac or Kid A, but it's kind of in between that and the 90s rock sound. It sounds probably most like Hail to the Thief of any album, so if you really enjoyed that one, then this is a must listen on a dark and dreary day like today. This is a perfect album. The orchestral elements and some of the atmosphere created by Jonny Greenwood turn out best in this opening track, Burn the Witch. It was the first single and it's totally a grower. This song builds to just bone-chilling proportions with its acoustic chugging and this almost ghoulish falsetto refrain, which is a comfortingly familiar sound from Radiohead. And the Gumby-esque claymation video does well to represent sort of the depravity that Thom Yorke speaks of. This is a great opener. It doesn't explode, but it leaves you just teetering on the edge of this cliff. Then, just as you expect rock and roll, we get the most serene piano ballad in Daydreaming, which is probably the highlight of the album in my mind. Capitalizing on this poignant minimalism, Radiohead do something kind of between Kid A and Sigur Rós. The chord sequence and structure here aren't much, but this one's all about emotional appeal and texture and setting the stage for the dismal themes to be had. The third song, Deck's Dark, is probably the grooviest song on here with its mix of a synthetic and a real rhythm section. Despite a forgettable vocal melody, the lyrics here do come through for me. It's just as ambiguous as you'd hope from a Thom Yorke lyric, painting this picture of darkness that's cast over us from a corrupt society. And it's really suggesting that we're all ignorant to how great life could be if it wasn't for this shroud over our eyes. It's a really hopeless and helpless condition and song. The highlights for me on this thing tend to be the softer moments, kind of those shimmering and dreary lullabies. Radiohead enhances the journal entry that is Glass Eyes with a melody and pace that's equally stagnant and plodding. Yorke very honestly takes us through a day in his anxious mind, feeling disconnected from people and very panicked by the seemingly mundane. There are moments on A Moon-Shaped Pool, at least production-wise, that are really reminiscent of late 60s psych folk, bands like Pentangle or The Byrds. But in true Radiohead fashion, somewhat predictable chord progressions are just repeated and repeated until all the novelty is vanished. I do really enjoy the folk-esque guitar on Present Tense or The Numbers, but the only things keeping these songs interesting over their laboring 5 to 6 minute lengths are those little synth and percussive flourishes that are added here and there in post-production. This is something that's always sullied my Radiohead listening experience. Just the fact that they can have so little movement and surprise in songs. The songs are often carried by these unique electronics and Yorke's very pleasing vocal tone instead of by thoughtful composition. And beyond that, Thom often starts and lands on the same melodic intervals again and again. It starts to sound like a Blink-182 record with how often he's singing the root note of the chord. I gotta say though, this is totally a matter of personal taste. I don't think everyone feels this way. Of course they don't. But this is firmly planted, this critique, in kind of my desire for melody and harmony in music above all else. I tend to prioritize this over some of the things that Radiohead does best, which are lyrics and creating atmosphere. Kind of in summary of A Moon-Shaped Pool though, I saw a critic label this as elusive beauty. And I think there's something to that, but what I think it is that Radiohead is just kind of here or there hitting the mark on this album. It can be a very arduous and bleak listen, especially the first couple times. It's going to take a while to even get close to into this album. Yeah, if you cut out snippets of it, it lives up to the name. There are moments of just unbelievable beauty. But music happens over time, and I think the average writing and unwarranted lengthiness of some of this is obscured by this glossy and rippling sheen over the whole production. However, for an introspective, heavy, and emotional night alone, this will set the mood. This is not album of the year material for me. And as far as new ideas, I think they're few and far between. But as a Radiohead fan that's deep inside their universe, I think this will scratch the itch. I'm going to give A Moon-Shaped Pool by Radiohead a decent 6.5 out of 10. But what did you think of it? Did this connect with you more so on a deep emotional or intellectual level? Let me know in the comments. Like this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to definitely go back to songs like Daydreaming, Burn the Witch, Deck's Dark, really the first half of this album. I'm also going to be doing a string of review and hopefully other videos in the next 2 weeks, more than I usually do. Bands like Haken and their new record, Affinity, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Chris Cohen, among others. So let me know if there's something you want me to cover, and thank you so much for watching this.